Jeremy Charles Robert Clarkson is an English broadcaster, journalist and writer who specializes in motoring. He is best known for co-presenting the BBC TV show Top Gear with Richard Hammond and James May from October 2002 to March 2015. He also writes weekly columns for the Sunday Times and The Sun. Synopsis. Jeremy Clarkson, born in Doncaster, England on April 11, 1960, is a TV presenter, journalist and writer. Jeremy Clarkson is best known for his role in the BBC car programme, Top Gear, and also his outspoken non-politically correct views on a range of opinions. Typically, his outspoken nature has won him both admirers and detractors, but Jeremy Clarkson claims people shouldn't take him too seriously. Early life. Clarkson was born in Doncaster, the son of Shirley Gabrielle Clarkson, maiden name Ward, a teacher, and Edward Grenville Clarkson, a traveling salesman. His parents, who ran a business selling tea cozies, put their son's name down in advance for private schools with no idea how they were going to pay the fees, until at the last moment, when he was 13, they made 2 Paddington Bear stuffed toys for each of their children. These proved so popular that they started selling them through the business with sufficient success to be able to pay the fees for Clarkson to attend Hill House School, Doncaster, and later Repton School. By his own account, he was expelled from Repton School for drinking, smoking and generally making a nuisance of himself. Clarkson attended Repton alongside Formula One engineer Adrian Newey and fellow Top Gear presenter, now executive producer, Andy Willman. Clarkson played the role of a public school boy, Atkinson, in a BBC Radio Children's Hour serial adaptation of Anthony Buckeridge's Jennings novels until his voice broke. Private life. Clarkson married Alexandra James in 1989, but she left him for one of his friends after 6 months. In May 1993 he married his manager, Frances Kane, daughter of VC recipient Robert Henry Kane, in Fulham. The couple lived in Chipping Norton, in the Cotswolds, with their 3 children. Clarkson has been described as a member of the Chipping Norton set. Known for buying him car-related gifts, for Christmas 2007 Clarkson's second wife bought him a Mercedes-Benz 600. She was reported to have filed divorce proceedings in April 2014. In September 2010 Clarkson was granted a privacy injunction against his first wife to prevent her from publishing claims that their sexual relationship continued after his second marriage. He voluntarily lifted the injunction in October 2011, commenting that, "Injunctions don't work. You take out an injunction against somebody or some organization and immediately news of that injunction and the people involved and the story behind the injunction is in a legal free world on Twitter and the internet. It's pointless." Clarkson's fondness for wearing jeans has been blamed by some for the decline in sales of denim in the mid-1990s, particularly Levi's, because of their being associated with middle-aged men, the so-called Jeremy Clarkson effect. Clarkson is a fan of the rock band Genesis and attended the band's reunion concert at Twickenham Stadium in 2007. He also provided sleeve notes for the reissue of the album Selling England by the Pound as part of the Genesis 1970-1975 box set. Clarkson was involved in a protracted legal dispute about access to a permissive path across the grounds of his second home, a converted lighthouse, on the Isle of Man from 2005 to 2010, after reports that dogs had attacked and killed sheep on the property. Clarkson and his wife had claimed that 4 sheep were deliberately killed after being chased into the sea by a dog let off its lead. He lost the dispute after the Isle of Man government held a public inquiry, and was told to reopen the footpath. The decision was affirmed by the Isle of Man High Court. Writing career. Clarkson's first job was as a traveling salesman for his parents' business selling Paddington Bear toys. He later trained as a journalist with the Rotherham Advertiser, before also writing for the Rochdale Observer, Wolverhampton Express, and Star, Lincolnshire Life, Shropshire Star and the Associated Kent newspapers. Writing in 2015 in his final column for Top Gear magazine, he credited the Shropshire Star as his first outlet as a motoring columnist. "I started small, on the Shropshire Star with little Peugeots and Fiats and worked my way up to Ford Grenadas and Rovers until, after about 7 years, I was allowed to drive an Aston Martin Lagonda. It was 10 years before I drove my first Lamborghini." In 1984, Clarkson formed the Motoring Press Agency, MPA, in which, with fellow motoring journalist Jonathan Gill, he conducted road tests for local newspapers and automotive magazines. This developed into pieces for publications such as Performance Car. He has regularly written for Top Gear magazine since its launch in 1993. Clarkson writes regular columns in the tabloid newspaper The Sun, and for the broadsheet newspaper The Sunday Times. His columns in The Times are republished in the weekend Australian newspaper. He also writes for the Wheels section of the Toronto Star. Clarkson has written humorous books about cars and several other subjects. Many of his books are collections of articles that he has written for the Sunday Times. Television, Top Gear. Clarkson's first major television role came as one of the presenters on the British motoring program Top Gear, from October 27, 1988 to February 3, 2000, in the program's earlier format, and then again in a new format from October 20, 2002 to March 8, 2015, along with co-presenters James May and Richard Hammond. He is credited with turning Top Gear into the most watched TV show on B2, rebroadcast to over 100 countries around the world. Clarkson presented the first series UK version of Robot Wars. His talk show, Clarkson, comprised 27 half-hour episodes aired in the United Kingdom between November 1998 and December 2000, and featured guest interviews with musicians, politicians and television personalities. Clarkson went on to present documentaries focused on non-motoring themes such as history and engineering, although the motoring shows and videos continued. Alongside his standalone shows, many mirror the format of his newspaper columns and books, combining his love of driving and motoring journalism with the examination and expression of his other views on the world, such as in Jeremy Clarkson's Motor World, Jeremy Clarkson's Car Years and Jeremy Clarkson Meets the Neighbors. After Jenny and Susanna labeled Clarkson's dress sense as that of a market trader, he was persuaded to appear on their fashion makeover show What Not to Wear to avoid being considered for their all-time worst dressed winner award. Their attempts at restyling Clarkson were rebuffed, and Clarkson stated he would rather eat his own hair than appear on the show again. For an episode of the first series of the BBC's Who Do You Think You Are? Broadcast in November 2004, Clarkson was invited to investigate his family history. It included the story of his great-great-great-grandfather John Kilnor, 1792 to 1857, who invented the Kilnor jar, a container for preserved fruit. Clarkson's views are often showcased on television shows. In 1997, Clarkson appeared on the light-hearted comedy show Room 101, in which a guest nominates things they hate in life to be consigned to nothingness. Clarkson dispatched caravans, houseflies, the sitcom Last of the Summer Wine, The Mentality Within golf clubs, and vegetarians. He has made several appearances on the primetime talk shows Parkinson and Friday Night with Jonathan Ross since 2002. By 2003, his persona was deemed to fit the mold for the series Grumpy Old Men, in which middle-aged men talk about any aspects of modern life which irritate them. Since the topical news panel show Have I Got News for Ya Demis regular host Angus Stutton in October 2002, Clarkson has become one of the most regularly used guest hosts on the show. Clarkson has appeared as a panelist on the political current affairs television show Question Time twice since 2000. On October 2, 2015 he presented Have I Got News for You again for the first time since his dismissal. In 2007, Clarkson won the National Television Awards Special Recognition Award. Also in 2007, it was reported that Clarkson earned £1 million a year for his role as a Top Gear presenter, and a further £1.7 million from books, DVDs and newspaper columns. In 2007, Clarkson and co-presenter James May were the first people to reach the North Magnetic Pole in a car, chronicled in Top Gear, Polar Special. In 2008, Clarkson sustained minor injuries to his legs, back and hand in an intentional collision with a brick wall while making the 12th series of Top Gear. In 2014 he received £4.8 million dividend and £8.4 million share buyout from BBC Worldwide, bringing his estimated income for the year to more than £14 million. On July 30, 2015, it was announced that Clarkson along with former Top Gear hosts Richard Hammond and James May have signed up to present a new show on Amazon Video, with the first season to be made available worldwide in 2016. Racism controversy. Clarkson has often been involved in controversy over perceived racist remarks. In 2014, he was caught on tape repeating a nursery rhyme which contained a racist word. Although he mumbled the word, he later apologized. BBC bosses gave him a final warning over similar situations. In March 2015, he was involved in a fracas with a BBC producer whilst filming Top Gear. After a BBC investigation, Clarkson was sacked because of evidence he punched a producer. Recognition. In 2005, Clarkson received an honorary Doctor of Engineering degree from the Oxford Brookes University. His views on the environment precipitated a small demonstration at the award ceremony for his honorary degree. When Clarkson was pied by road protester Rebecca Lush, Clarkson took this incident in good humor, responding "good shot" and subsequently referring to Lush as "Banana Girl." Clarkson has spoken in support of hydrogen cars. In 2008, an internet petition was posted on the Prime Minister's No. 10 website to make Jeremy Clarkson Prime Minister. By the time it closed, it had attracted 49,446 signatures. An opposing petition posted on the same site set to never, ever make Jeremy Clarkson Prime Minister attracted 87 signatures. Clarkson later commented he would be a rubbish Prime Minister as he is always contradicting himself in his columns. In their official response to the petition, No. 10 agreed with Clarkson's comments. In response to the reactions he gets, Clarkson has stated, "I enjoy this back and forth, it makes the world go round, but it is just opinion." On the opinion that his views are influential enough to topple car companies, he has argued that he has proof that he has had no influence. "When I said that the Ford Orion was the worst car ever, it went on to become a best-selling car." Clarkson was ranked 49th on Motor Trend magazine's Power List for 2011, its list of the 50 most influential figures in the automotive industry. The Apprentice, which also became an offshoot for The Celebrity Apprentice. In 2015, Trump announced his candidacy for President of the United States, and shortly after the first Republican debate became the party's frontrunner.